Is that our intro?
Here I am
On the road again.
Here I am. I'm out on the stage. Here I go. Playing a star again. Here I go.
Life's a stage and we're all just acting, they say.
Turn the page, baby. Welcome to Biowarrior Radio, ladies and gentlemen, episode number 8. I'm your host, Jason Zamorano, with my lovely, amazing, talented, beautiful co-host, the love of my life, Mrs. Lorenzy.
You always make me feel embarrassed when you put me on the spot like that. You just do.
Oh.
I'm all frazzled.
Well, Lauren, today we've got a powerful episode in store. Today we're going to talk about not contrails. We're going to talk about chemtrails and what the hell are they spraying? And more importantly, what is it doing to your body and what can you do to fight it?
You idiot, Jason. Chemtrails are contrails. They're condensation lines from the train.
Of course.
Planes.
Of course. Well, I mean, you know, if you would look at standard theology and think, okay, I see planes, they're emitting some type of trail, which is typically a contrail, which means it dissipates after, several minutes, if not seconds after the plane's gone.
That's the huge difference here. There are contrails. That's a real thing. Small planes that you see flying over every day. Here we live in California. I think we see like 50 planes fly over every single day. There's about 50 planes flying over our house, and their trails will dissipate 5 minutes maybe. But the chemtrails, those are the ones that are these big, massive lines, deep, dark white, and then they spread. And then by mid-afternoon, the whole sky went from a beautiful baby blue or deep blue to just muggy, gray.
Right.
Can't even see the sun.
Right.
You don't even know what the weather is anymore. It's just this weird, ugly sky.
Yeah, I think L.A. Marzulli has some footage recently that I just seen on his YouTube that really demonstrates this really well because it'll show you the difference between a contrail and a chemtrail. There's actually two planes, one that left behind the chemtrail, which again stays in the air. Over time, it just starts to dissipate and kind of fade. And we've seen so many times where we have these beautiful mornings. You're like, the sky's amazing blue. And then sure enough, they start spraying. They crisscross. They tic-tac-toe all over the sky. And eventually about midday, it's just gloomy. And there's no blue left.
Right. I feel like this topic should just be like a household term by now. Every single American should be aware that there is such a thing as chemtrails. Now, sure, if you go to your dictionary, you're not going to see the word chemtrail because that's just a conspiracy term. That's what the tinfoil hat wearing, freakazoids believe in. But it's an absolute fact. It's true. The issue here is that the government doesn't tell us they're chemtrails. They say in plain sight that it's Geo-Engineering. Now, that is for a fact, it's public information. You can look up Geo-Engineering projects, weather modification plans. They are actively doing here in America. In 32 states in America have adopted some sort of laws regarding weather modification here in America. Mm-hmm. I have a map here from 2008 showing the active states that are at least aware of the weather modification that's taking place in those states. It's right here. This is from the Agricultural, can you read that on the bottom? I can't see. Agricultural Defense Coalition.
Exactly, yeah, .org.
So the Agricultural Defense Coalition.org shows you a map of the states in America that are observing and participating in weather modification programs. This is an absolute fact. And basically what they do, can you read that chart, what they're doing?
Yeah, so it says weather modification can be accomplished by the following methods: rockets, jets, small planes, ground-based dispersion, chemicals, or aerosols. So they're spraying chemicals and aerosols into the air in attempt to geo-engineer the whole climate, right?
Right.
Well, I think it's interesting to point out that we'll get into it later what they're actually spraying, but it's interesting that when you bring this subject up to most people, they just glaze over and they're just like, huh?
Or they're just pissed that you brought it up.
It's like most people don't even look up in the sky anymore. They're so consumed. They're like this all day in their phone, like their necks are just gonna be attached to their freaking pecs, and they don't even look up anymore and see what's going on. It's so apparent. I've been watching this for the last 10, 15 years probably.
Yeah.
I don't recall when they first started or when I started to notice it, but once you become aware of this one issue, it can open up a whole Bermuda's Triangle of basically other things that kind of fall into place. But this one topic is so easy to distinguish. It's like all you have to do is look up and watch what they're doing, and you'll see for yourself.
You know, I always talk about my college days because since now that I've been a wife and mom for 5.5 years, I feel like my social life is dead. But when I was in college, I was taking a chemical biology class. I don't know why. It was just part of like general education. And my teacher was some sort of chemist. And I had asked him, hey, well, what's up with the chemtrails? And immediately, like a trigger, he turned red, Jason. I was like, whoa, what did I say? And he goes, those are not chemical trails. Those are contrails. And then he went nuts that I even asked. And then everyone in the class is laughing at me like I'm some idiot. And I said, and I pulled up, I was like, no, there's a difference. I was trying what we just talked about in the opening. And some girl behind me pulled up the pictures too. Like she kind of got my back. But still, at the end of the day, after that whole semester in class, he still would not admit there's such a thing as chemtrails.
Really, it's a religion, though. I mean, you questioned his religion. So, of course, he's going to, he's going to jump up and really be irate about it because it's a deep belief. It's something that's programmed into these people from an early age, especially scientists. And also it determines whether they'll get funding or not. So if they start talking about specific topics, or they actually do real studies to find out if it has any side effects, if it's dangerous, if it's safe, well, now all of a sudden they get completely defunded, which they depend on that funding, obviously, for their livelihood.
Right. And I think chemtrails, weather modification, weather warfare, along with global warming, climate change laws, they're all interconnected.
Yeah.
So there's lots of people doing independent studies right now on chemtrails because people see it, they want answers, but the political scientific complex, they're like a war machine on their own. So if you question their authority and, like you said, what they're doing and if it's safe, they're going to shut you down immediately. They're even like say you post something on Facebook questioning it, Facebook will go take down your post. If you go on YouTube and Google this topic, YouTube now has an information bar along the bottom giving you the correct answer. So if you Google chemtrails on YouTube, I bet you there's going to be a box underneath it that says contrails and what contrails are. Just like we did the JFK assassination on YouTube, below it says the real way JFK was assassinated. It gives answers. Or if you talk about like fluoride, anything now, YouTube is giving you their opinion on what the true answer is.
This is the virtual matrix that eventually they want to be a reality for all of us. I mean, I think the phone is literally just the first step. Like, we're so engaged with our phones every single day. Can you imagine living without them? Now the danger behind that is actually they could create this digital matrix, which we virtually live in each and every day. And then they can control exactly what media we see, what type of entertainment. They can control everything.
That's what is for sure happening right now because, like you were just pointing, people don't look at the skies anymore. We don't go outside and enjoy the real world. We're living in a virtual world. We're on our cell phones. My friends are freaking Facebook friends or my immediate family. That's my social life. And it sucks that I'm becoming a victim in this modern day world, but it is what it is. So if you can control what people are seeing on social media, you're basically fully controlling their mind. You have a book in your library called Mass Control. Do you remember reading it?
I do, yeah.
Basically, it's a full-blown program to control people's minds using media, social media, books, movies.
Dr. Nick Begich has wrote a fabulous book, too. I can't remember the actual name of it, but he talks about how the governments have used this type of weapon, weapon warfare against us, using like Wi-Fi and all these frequencies to not only induce cancer, but also to control our brains and our thinking, and even control the way, like, you could literally make someone kill someone by just sending a certain signal.
Was that called microwave weapons? Because remember Tila Tequila was coming out as a truther like
right.
7 years ago. And she's like, they're using microwave weapons on me, where you're sitting in your living room and then you just start getting zapped.
EMF,
like
electromagnetic
directly.
frequencies. Right.
So basically, chemtrails are a geoengineering program where airplanes will fly high in the sky at altitudes and spray chemicals into the air. And those chemicals land on the ground. They end up in our crops, our soil, our water supplies, ultimately in our body.
Like, we don't have enough pollution going on in the world as it is. We need more. We need more cadmium. We need more aluminum. We need more barium. We need more strontium. Strontium, by the way, is very damaging to the bones. All of these are super toxic to the body, including mercury. We just need more. We just need more. And because they love us to death, Lauren.
Many people have done independent studies trying to capture these floating heavy metals from the sky landing on the ground. So there's tons of people doing their own studies, and they are finding an unnatural amount of the chemicals you just mentioned, of those being aluminum and mercury. And the reason why I want to pull up these two is because these two neurotoxins are so incredibly toxic that I was just telling you before, I couldn't even eat one fish taco during my pregnancy because I was afraid my baby would become retarded. Right. That's how toxic and damaging aluminum and mercury are. There's a direct link, too, between aluminum and the cause for autism. Apparently, back in the 1970s, 1980s, consumers at the time were warned to not purchase aluminum pots or pans because they would leach aluminum and you would absorb it and it would create autism. So even just simply 30, 40 years ago, people were told to stay away from aluminum.
But we have aluminum cans that we drink from, right?
And they leak. Right. Or leach. Right.
You know what's interesting is that the more toxins that they spray, the more neurological damage, which means they're dumbing you down, which means they're making you stupid. They're spraying chemicals in the air so that you won't even look up in the air. You won't even notice, or you won't even question because you're too dumbed down. Your body can't even function. Your mind can't even cognitively, create thoughts.
Exactly. And I feel like it's part of the illuminists, the globalists, the elite. It's part of the religion to tell you what they're doing.
Right.
And it's your job as the consumer or, self-regulating human being to either decide to take their poison, which they told you they're poisoning you, or protect yourself and not use it. And unfortunately, people are becoming sheep, and they're following the wrong sheep herders.
It's again, they make that corruption between good and evil. They take God's law and they actually twist it. So in this instance, God gave us free will, right? We don't have to love the Lord. We don't have to love the Creator. We can go do our own thing. He gave us free will because that's true love. That's what real love is. I don't chain Lauren to the bed every single night and say, hey, love me.
Just sometimes.
Sometimes I have to. But that's not real love. Obviously, real love is when someone does it on their own free accord. And so that's what these Satanists do. They take that same dialectic and then they twist it and say, we told them what we're doing, but they're just too stupid to know. So they deserve everything that they get.
I think in defense for the common American right now is we're so overwhelmed with politics and school and kids and work and taxes and bills and medical stuff that all these reports that are out there telling us in plain sight what's going on, we just don't have time to look at it.
But that's part of it too, is that they over give us. There's just too much consumption of just media here. They're bombarding our brains on every single level. You got Wi-Fi, you got chemtrails, you got poisonous food, GMOs. Just everywhere our bodies are just being irradiated and toxified. This one thing, though, this chemtrails is one that you can definitely test on your own. You can observe on your own, and you can look into on your own. Don't believe anything we say. Always check all the facts. But this is so easy because all you have to do, folks, is you got this thing. It's called a chin. You just move it up.
What's that quote that says, the dumbest thing you can ever do is assume that you know everything. So for example, my brother, Terry, he's always out there whistleblowing. He takes pictures of the chemtrails. He'll post it. And I see 40, 50 people telling him he's an idiot. He's stupid. They're contrails. And not because I'm his sister and I want to protect him. I want to go slap those people in the face and go, before you start talking crap and just saying stuff, do a little bit of research first. The answers are right there. It's right there. But anyways, back to the slideshow here. So we talked about the 32 states in America already having laws on weather modification in act right now. Some of the main organizations that are involved in weather modification here in America are the U.S. Air Force, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the U.S. Department of the Interior, the National Science Foundation, and lastly, this is just kind of thrown in there, the country of China has been boasting about their cloud seeding experiments since the 2008 Olympics. That was one of like their award-winning moments when it comes to science. Basically, the story behind this is that they were housing the Winter Olympics in 2008 in China, Beijing, and they wanted to have clear skies that day. And in order to keep the ceremony dry, they used millions of dollars towards cloud seeding. I'll put the picture up here on the page when I do the video, but basically what cloud seeding is they spray silver iodide mixed with acetones, and they release these particles up into the atmosphere right above where the clouds are. And at those altitudes, the air, the moisture, they condense, they turn to ice, and then you've got basically snow targeted towards that one area. Or rain. So there's tons of articles talking about China spending millions of dollars on their cloud seeding. Now that's nothing new. They've been doing this type of technology since the 50s.
Oh, wait, I'm a little lost. So you talked about cloud seeding, you talked about weather modification, and we're at the same time we're talking about chemtrails. So they are actually spraying these aerosols, these heavy metals, into the air, stating that they're using it for weather modification, which obviously comes in global warming and all of this garbage.
Exactly. It's all how you word things. So if you were to use the word chemtrails, people are going to be like, oh my God, chemtrails. But if you say cloud seeding, now that sounds pretty. That sounds pretty scientific and cool, you know? We're playing God. We just put some harmless chemicals up into the sky, and hey, we've got snow, we've got rain, we can control the weather.
And again, another thing that's proven, I mean, we talk about these articles going back, 2016. We're just looking at this one. China spent millions on a shady project to control weather, but they've been doing this for centuries. So again, weather modification, controlling the weather, these are things that are just fact, but yet our mainstream media doesn't mention it at all.
I'm curious if any of our viewers here are from the East Coast, because I have a chart from 2008 showing the states that are very active in weather modification experiments, which are mostly here on the West Coast: California, Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Montana, New Mexico, Texas. These states are very active in weather modification experiments. And again, all those government agencies I talked about earlier, they're in charge, they're doing it, they're flying planes above, and they're also using like factories to disperse it into the air too. So they could spray chemicals in the air, not necessarily being in a plane, but just in the buildings.
Wow. Yeah, and it's interesting that they're focusing more on the West Coast versus, according to this map at least. But again, the viewers' feedback is going to be critical. Help us out, guys.
According to the Agriculture Coalition org, the reason why they start on the West Coast is because the jet stream moves from west to east. So that might be
so they're hoping that they'll get it downwind.
Right, and they're also doing this stuff in Alaska and Florida. And do you know what's in Alaska?
What's that?
The HARP.
Oh, right.
HARP headquarters.
Right now, but first we got to take a quick break from our sponsors, guys. Stay tuned. It's going to really get good. After watching two of my close family members be diagnosed with cancer, go through excruciating chemo treatments, and both die a painful, tragic death, I knew something had to be wrong with the medical industry. I wanted to know why they got sick, and I wanted to know why they had to die. I was afraid my mom or dad would be the next ones to die. I saw them suffering already with symptoms like chronic fatigue, inflammation, brain fog, pain, and sudden weight gain. I wanted to protect my family members, but I didn't have any medical training. That's when my best friend introduced me to a naturopathic doctor who shared with us the secrets of remineralizing the body. He taught us a new holistic health approach called functional medicine. Functional medicine is a science-based approach to target the root cause of disease in the body. I learned that all disease starts from within, and that symptoms like fatigue, feeling stress, depression, weight gain, brain fog, and mental exhaustion We're all signs from your body telling you something's very wrong. When we give our bodies the right nutrients it needs, it can heal naturally. That's when I knew nutrition was the key. I started devoting my life to researching and testing a healthy diet mixed with the best supplements on the market, including vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. The challenge was 99% of the products I bought was trash. It didn't work. I later found out that most supplement companies use chemical or synthetic forms which aren't absorbed by the body, making them useless or even harmful. And that's why I created Biowarrior Nutraceuticals. We teamed up with scientists to provide patented advanced formulas that actually work. We offer superior pharmaceutical grade, all natural, non-GMO nutraceuticals, all tested and proven for maximum efficiency and absorption. After creating Biowarrior, we can now heal our families and prevent ourselves from being another big pharma victim. And I want you to have the same vitality and energy and cognitive thinking in your life. And that's why I want to offer you a free bottle of our patented Tesla-activated Nascent Iodine Energy Warrior. It's our best-selling supplement, and I want you to have it absolutely free. I'll pay for the bottle, you pay for the shipping. This is a limited time offer, only while supplies last, so claim your bottle right now. Go to www.biowarriornutrition.com/free energy or just click the button below to claim your free bottle today. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Biowarrior Radio, and we are discussing today chemtrails.
Yes, we are back. So we left off on the states, asking our viewers if you live on the East Coast, if you guys actually see the chemtrails in the sky, make sure you comment and let us know. So the next little, I guess, topic in regards to weather modification, weather warfare, is that during the Vietnam War, America actually spent millions of dollars on weather weaponization. It's actually called Operation Popeye. So what our military wanted to do,
like Popeye the sailor.
Sometimes I don't know where these agencies get these operation names. You know,
it's crazy.
So
okay,
Operation Alice in Wonderland. I'm not sure if that's a real one. Anyways, it's called Operation Popeye. Basically, we wanted to create a weather weapon because we were fighting the Vietnam War. We weren't really getting anywhere. Thousands, millions of our soldiers were dying. And so they came up with the motto, make mud, not war. So what they were actually doing was another form of cloud seeding. They were adding the silver iodide, also known as dry ice, to the clouds to create massive amounts of rain. The goal was to basically shut off their roads, make it impossible for them to travel through the jungles and get to our troops.
So using weather modification as a warfare tactic.
Right, weather warfare, just like they have like biochemical warfare.
Right.
But this, again, in the last episode or two, we talked about all's fair in love and war. Basically, the warheads, the war criminals of our world, the elite who want to make money off wars. This project here, Operation Popeye, cost millions and millions of dollars in development and actually using it. This was all under President Nixon. So they were so excited after the end of their project because they had created 35 inches of rain during this process. And this was back during the 1970s.
Wow.
And once the UN found out about their weather warfare projects, the UN actually ended up banning weather warfare. But
naughty.
Right. But I mean, some of our elite and leaders have connections to the UN. So if they just want some hush hush projects, I'm sure they could still do weather warfare. And the UN's not going to. Yeah. So that was Operation Popeye. If you guys want to look into it, and more proof that our government does use planes in the sky to disperse chemicals to create some sort of change in the atmosphere, whether it's to create more rain, snow, clear skies, stuff like that.
And in this instance, which when we talk about Geo-Engineering, they're actually using these aerosols as a reflectant, or this is their hypothesis, right? That they state anyways, is that they're using these aerosols, these heavy metals, aluminum, barium, as a reflectant to the sun so that we get less sun because, of course, the world is warming, which is an absolute lie. We know that the temperatures are always changing globally, right, throughout history. we have ice ages, and then we have, certain areas that get hot. I mean, geologically, you can just look at this. I mean, there's glaciers in Mammoth, right? And now, during the summer, there's no ice. So this is just something that's historically evident throughout the stratosphere, but yet they want to try to tell us that we're the problem and global warming is actually a reality when in essence it's just climate change.
Right. So, in regards to what you were just saying, you're talking about solar radiation management. This is another real thing that our scientists and our government are doing. Like you said, they're spraying aerosols into the stratosphere or the atmosphere to reflect the sun's rays, and we're actually going through a global dimming. Now, Al Gore won't tell you this.
Al Gore?
Al Gore and the global warming religious leaders will tell you that no, we're going through a global warming and our polar bears are drowning up there in the Arctic Circle because we are just dispersing way too much carbon dioxide.
So these politicians have a lot to gain if they get this global warming tax implemented.
Actually, I know that you don't have too much time right now with all you're doing, but in Paris right now and in France, the nationalists have been rioting so hard because basically, what I guess the globalists have done is they brought in tons and tons of immigrants into their area. They've put those people first, left the people of Paris to basically die on the side of the road, and they did submit the carbon tax. So these farmers and these factory owners, they can't even make a living because they are taxed so bad. Their quality of life is terrible. And so they're out there rioting, and their police even joined the protesters to, protest and riot the government. So even the police now are rioting against the government because they're sick and tired of it.
The police are they're not one of them. They're one of us, and if we were to realize the power that we had as a population, as communities, as sovereign nations, we could end this very, 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 very quick.
Right. It goes back to that Ants movie where the cockroaches?
The grasshopper basically says, hey, they outnumber us. They can actually kill us anytime they want, but we have to keep them basically in servitude to us. Otherwise, we run the risk of losing control.
Exactly. So one of the main objections that most people have when you talk about chemtrails is because humans, generally, we're innocent. We're good people. We don't mean to do harm. We all have a conscience and a heart, most of us. So the common person would go, why on earth would our government spray chemicals in the air if it wasn't good for us? Why would they do this if it would hurt us? But the thing is, the people in power... They're not like you and me. They don't think the same way. They were raised in these secret societies and more than likely satanic cults ever since children. They've been brainwashed. They've been raped. They've been, molested. Their minds aren't the same as ours. Most of them have, multiple from all the trauma-based mind control that they've been under. Even going back to our last segment on George H.W. Walker Bush, I mean, that guy's part of a royal bloodline. They all intermarry within each other's cousins, and they live this lavish, elite lifestyle. They're not a common person who's going to the grocery store and buying regular, non-organic food. They're not going to public schools. They're not working full-time jobs. So they don't have the same perception of the world as we do.
Right.
They've been taught to basically control, and it's a big game for them.
They've been taught, as elitists that to keep their control, they have to do these things to the peasants.
Yeah, so...
To the serfs, the peasants, the slaves.
To answer the question about chemtrails, by now... not just believing us, but just looking at it, by now you should know that chemtrails are an absolute fact. There are planes spraying chemicals into the sky. Now, for what specific reasons? There's so many experiments going on right now by our government and by private organizations. There could be tons and tons of reasons why they're doing it. But some of the, scary reasons is that they're purposely making people sick, weak, dumbed down, so that they can confuse them, you can control them, you could eventually make them believe in stuff like global warming and take away their natural resources.
Tax them to death.
Exactly. Control the food supply. And by the way, all this stuff is documented in the Agenda 21 program for by 2020 to reduce the population. So,
and what better way than to do something so slow and so inconspicuous as spraying heavy metals into their air, which of course falls on our plants, it falls on our fruit, our vegetables, it gets into our water supplies. Just think of the fish that are in our water supplies are also accumulating these heavy metals. I mean, it's just so tragic, and yet it's not talked about. It's not talked about in school. It's not talked about on TV. But yet we're slowly dying. Cancer rates are increasing. People are getting more and more sick, and that's why we actually started this podcast in the first place. Was because I've seen so much suffering. We've seen so much suffering. Our families are suffering.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're suffering is because they're not understanding these things. They're not using discernment. They're not praying to the Most High God and asking for some of these deliverances, and also taking action.
Right. The rise in autism, the rise in depression, the use of pharmaceuticals and antidepressants and painkillers. I think our cat's trying to get in the podcast. There's a picture I wanted to pull up on the screen right now showing the chemtrails and the pattern. That's a full-blown tic-tac-toe pattern. And most pilots can agree that that is not a typical pilot's protocol to fly like that.
Right.
Planes would not be crossing like that.
No.
All
And if you're here in Southern California, we literally see this like every day. It's so disgusting.
Even our 5-year-old's noticing it now.
Right.
One of the big crusaders in the chemtrail phenomenon right now is Rosalind Peterson. If you want to do more research on her, go for it. She's part of the Agricultural Defense Coalition, and she was starting to get really worried because crops were failing. Farmers were not getting the water they needed. The soils were toxic.
Bees are dying.
Bees are dying. Birds are dying. I mean, it's incredible. So she started doing her investigations. She started becoming a whistleblower, and she's done a lot of great work on this topic.
Carnicom Institute is also a great resource. I think it's carnicominstitute.org. But back 10, 15 years ago, he first started this research, and he was actually pulling the data, testing the soils, and seeing that, these heavy metals like aluminum, mercury, arsenic, strontium, all these things are increasing as we see this overhead spraying.
And you also mentioned earlier the documentary, What the Heck Are They Spraying?
What the hell are they spraying? Yeah, I think it's...
There's 2 of them. We watched them like 7 years ago. So, so there's a clip that I'm going to play probably after. But basically it's Prince, the late Prince. Before he died, he was on some TV show, and he talks about the jet trails in the sky. And at first he's like, oh, wow, how cool. Look at the plane in the sky, and it's leaving a trail. You know, back in maybe the olden days, technology and planes were something to be marveled at. But then he noticed that shortly after the planes would left, everyone in the neighborhood would start fighting. And so he was conscious and aware of the mood that would change, the way people started acting. They were agitated and, aggressive.
Well, that kind of brings us into HARP too. I mean, because they can use these frequencies through the air because it's being weaponized basically with these heavy metals. They use these nanoparticles which stay in the air, which are a conduit for this type of technology. So they can send out all of these frequencies that can control people's minds.
Right. And we probably don't have enough time to talk about it in this segment, but in regards to what you're saying, conduity. Say it again. Conductivity.
Yeah, conductivity.
Basically, with Wi-Fi and 5G, we need to be able to send these signals like a spider web in the sky to have faster service, faster internet. And so, I mean, we complain when our internet's slow, but it's like, gosh, be careful what you wish for, because to get that faster internet, those faster speeds where you could
comes at a price.
It comes at a price. And it's sad because
that's why we're living, they're digitalizing us and making us into this matrix. I mean, if they wanted total control, what would be the best way to do it? Well, it'd be through technology. It would be creating this hive mind. I mean, none of us go anywhere without our cell phones anymore. Can you imagine if we were literally inserted into our cell phone with like these brain interface chips, or even how they have this, what is it? The video games where they're literally like...
Neil Armstrong already volunteered to get the chip. They get these really famous people to be the first ones to do stuff like Elvis Presley getting his polio vaccine. It was this big media event. Look at Elvis Presley's getting his vaccine. You better go get yours too. Neil Armstrong. No, not Neil. It's the same Neil Armstrong, the bicyclist, the Olympian.
Lance Armstrong.
My bad. Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
He was the first one on videotape getting his microchip,
Right.
telling you how he feels. So it's like he's a trendsetter for people who are known to be healthy and athletic to do
High
this.
performers.
And they're already doing the chip in either Sweden or France. So they're getting high school kids now to opt, because what dumb little 14, 16-year-old high school student would know better than to go get their chip because it's cool and
Right.
they can pay
And
with
it makes everything so convenient because you can get paid instantly. You can pay someone instantly. Well, guess what? You can actually be tracked and traced instantly and identified instantly, and part of a global matrix where they could literally shut you down. They can shut your chip off if you don't go along with what they say. Like this podcast right now, we wouldn't even have free speech. They could just cut us off right then and there.
And
So
lots
there
of
would
people are
be-
getting shut down too, which
Yeah,
is sad.
There would be no discernment. There would be no uprisings. There would be no justice. It would just be basically you would be bowing down to the beast.
Yeah, Alex Jones says that all the time. You're not a good little globalist, so we're going to shut down your chip so you can't buy or sell, which is prophesied in the Bible.
Right.
If you take the mark of the beast, then you can buy and sell. If you don't take it, you won't be able to. And
What better
they'll
way?
kill you.
What better way to do it than through technology?
Yeah, everyone loves technology, and we can love it too. Look at these mics and everything, but you've
Right.
got to, what's it called? Like set a line, draw a line in the sand at some point.
Right. Exactly.
We were watching Shark Tank a few years back, and that guy came up with the invention with a brain chip. It was something weird, like you could play music from your brain and hear it in your ear, and the sharks were like, holy, that is just freaky, that's crazy. But science always catches up.
Right.
And people accept it at some point, just like Nikola Tesla with his technologies. They were like, you're crazy. Well, fast forward 50, 60 years, we're doing it now. So same thing with these brain chips. The guy on Shark Tank had it.
They got to introduce these things slowly because they've tested and they realize that that's the best way the population will basically let it go unnoticed. They'll be conditioned. They will love their conditioning, is what Aldous Huxley said. So they want you to love your servitude. So in order to do that, you have to do it really, really slow. It's like it goes back to the frog in the pot. Like you can't just put him in boiling water. You start off cold and then you warm it up, and then pretty much he's enjoying himself, and then before he knows it, it's just ever so slightly increasing, and now he's dead.
Yeah, it's crazy how much of an awakening is happening though, globally. Even just talking about people who are fighting against the socialism and the communism and the globalism, more and more countries now are actually fighting their governments to have their sovereign nations back again. So there's definitely an awakening in the world right now, and people like us and other people out there who are out there blowing their trumpets. This isn't just a little whistle. This is like a friggin' loud trumpet. Yeah, trumpet. Exactly. To wake people up. Like everyone needs to see it. We're not selfish people. We don't want to just protect our little family and have our little bunker, 100 feet under the ground in our backyard. We want to protect all of you guys. So make sure you share our videos, like the videos, comment, Google algorithms. If you don't have engagement, they'll just shut you down. And so,
well, more importantly, we want to end all of this. So in
Right.
order to end all of this, in order for our children to have a future, in order for humanity to actually become who they were meant to be, for us to expand to the stars and above, to go to Mars and actually colonize it, to do these things, we need to end this tyranny now. And the only way we can end it is through education, and then also action. You got to take action, guys. More importantly, you need to protect yourselves as well. So I think that kind of comes at the conclusion for today, Lauren. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is like, what can our listeners and our viewers do to protect themselves and their families?
yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get through the last little part I have. But go ahead, babe. Now that we know for a fact that Geo-Engineering is happening, weather modification is really happening. It's documented with the U.S. Air Force, the National Institute of the Interior, all those organizations. I'll pull it up on the screen again. They admitted to doing it. So it's an absolute fact. They're spraying chemicals in the sky. What
Right.
goes up? Finish my sentence, babe.
Must come down.
Right. What goes up must come down.
So last bit of closing here before we actually give you some solutions on what you can do, what actions can you take. Contact your senators, tell them what the hell is this, number one. Go to your city council, demand an answer, start researching, educate yourself on these things, learn what's going on, observe, do the tilt method, I call it. You just take your chin and you just go up. And just look up and observe and see what's going on, guys. And then communicate that. Share that message with others. Let them know what's going on. Become an activist yourself. Become inspired to change the world for the better. Because as things are looking right now, it's not looking very good for us as a human species. I mean, we're going to be like a transgender, like it, if we're not careful.
Yeah, it's okay to go against the grain. It's okay to go to Thanksgiving or Christmas and tell your family, hey guys, look about this. Yeah, you're going to be the black sheep of the family for a while, but at some point you'll then become the hero. And I know we're all about social status in America here, and it's like you don't want to offend your friend and families, but if you want to be a true soldier of God and a true patriot of America, you have to speak up.
Have to. And you also have to protect yourself too, because the more toxins we accumulate in our body, the harder it is for us to critically think, the harder it is for us to get up in the mornings, the harder it is for us to have sustained energy all day. I mean, all of this stuff is interconnected, guys. So we need to speak up now before we're quieted forever.
Right. So, again, they're spraying heavy metals in the sky. So not only for our health do we have to protect ourselves from like pathogens and viruses and mold and yeast, we have to be worried about the aluminum, the mercury, the fluoride, the chloride, the bromine. The list goes on.
These things that they're spraying in the air are actually lowering our immune system. You know what I mean?
They're shutting down our thyroid glands, our hormone systems, our cognitive thinking. Right. It's a known fact that fluoride is used as a dumbing down agent, even in the circus animals. Right. They know that you could become docile, you could control them, you can train them.
So here's some action step, guys. Get a water purifier. I mean, I don't. We actually recommend Pure Water Systems. It's the only water filter that I would ever purchase and I would ever recommend. But hey, listen, buy a ppm. I just got done doing a Facebook Live today. Get a Primo water tester, which is it measures the ppm, the total dissolved solids in the water, so that you can start testing water filters for yourself. And maybe you buy an inexpensive one to start and you build up, but do something today to protect yourself. The other thing you can do is get an Ascent iodine. The one that we recommend and that we use every day, and the best one on the planet for bioabsorption and bioavailability, is Energy Warrior.
Right. It's Tesla activated. So it's on the right frequency so your body can absorb it, and it's non-toxic.
I mean, they understand this. They're using these frequencies in conjunction with these minerals, right? So why not? Why don't we use today's technology with proven minerals that we know that our body needs?
Right. Back to basics. Our body is 70 to 80% water. We're I can't say that word, conductive beings. We're energy. Our bodies are energy. Right. We need nutrients, and we can be healthy and we can thrive and we can have those clear mindsets, get rid of depression, get rid of obesity, anxiety, the fatigue, just by taking care of yourself. So Energy Warrior is the Tesla activated Ascent iodine, which supports every single cell in the body. And what are your most favorite things that it does for you? Like, how do you feel after taking it?
Yeah, I love taking it in the mornings before a workout. It just really boosts my energy levels and gives me that clarity of thought that I really need, especially when I'm doing research or I'm on, I'm doing a podcast or I'm doing a Facebook Live. For me, it's the cognitive ignition that I love about Energy Warrior.
Yeah, as soon as I started taking it, the thing I noticed immediately was the lowered stress levels. Because I'm the mom. I'm the one with the kids all day. And so my anxiety and my stress sometimes gets the best of me. But when I take Energy Warrior, it seems as though immediately my stress levels have calmed down. I have that mental clarity. I'm just kind of back to, I just feel good. My mom always says it's her I forgot what she calls, like, her magic potion or something, because her too, it's like an immediate thing because it's so bioavailable. You don't have to wait 30 minutes to an hour to feel effects. It's immediate, and
there's nothing else like it. I mean, she's purchased other Ascent iodines. I've purchased other Ascent iodines. None of them are Tesla activated. They're not passed through that resonance, that frequency that supercharges it and makes it bioabsorbable. I think like one drop is literally like 233% of your daily iodine.
Another thing that I feel immediately when I do take it is the sustained energy all day. So before, when I didn't take it around lunchtime, I was so drowsy. I could hardly keep my eyelids open. I mean, we're Americans. Our lives are tough. We're always doing stuff. We've got the weight of the world on our shoulders just to get through the day. And since taking Energy Warrior, it seems like I am totally fine. Energy wise, mental clarity wise, mood wise, till about 10, 11 o'clock at night when we decide to watch some YouTube documentaries and go to sleep around midnight, 1 a.m. Hop up again the next morning at 7 to start our day. It's so amazing.
Right. And all you do is you literally just get a glass of water, 3 to 4 ounces. You put a couple drops in there and you take it down. And our kids love it. I mean, it's just amazing for the family. Share that with your friends. Actually, what I'll do is I'll actually give you a free bottle. How about that?
You're killing me, Jason.
Yeah, so I want to give you guys a free bottle of Energy Warrior. It's a 7-day sample, and you can get that absolutely free. I'll pay for the bottle. You pay for the shipping. And all you need to do is go to biowarriornutrition.com/free energy, and you can go ahead and just input your info there. Again, it's $5.95 for the shipping. I'll pay for the bottle. You pay for the shipping. You get to try it absolutely free. It's an amazing product. Highly recommended. We're getting amazing testimonials from our friends and our family. So go to biowarriornutrition.com/free energy and get your free bottle today.
I'm telling you guys, you will not be disappointed by it. You will feel it immediately. It's high quality. It's pure. It's amazing. But I do hear the music trying to kick us off air. So quick little mention, you guys, we are on iTunes at Biowarrior Radio. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Of course, we're here on YouTube, so subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click on the subscription button and the bell notification, because you don't want to miss these videos. Like the video and leave us a comment so we know. If you guys are seeing chemtrails, please comment and let us know, because some people out there claim they don't exist.
Stay vigilant. Thanks so much for listening. God bless.